We're joined now by Lake Lewis Jr., our Raise and Hail Commanders insider. Typically comes on a Tuesday, but the snow and specifically the ice yesterday kept us here out of the studio. Lake, appreciate you stopping by. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Hey, we're having a great time. I've hoped you've had an opportunity to thaw from Minnesota. I know the game's indoors, but probably was a little chilly up there in Minnesota.
It was -2.
So a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's about the temperature that the Commanders played at on Sunday, right?
Did they even play?
The scoreboard indicates that they did not.
I felt like I was the only one that went to Minnesota. Myself and the other media. I mean, it was about as dreadful and as bad as they could possibly play. And it was the first time I saw in the locker room afterwards that they just looked totally demoralized and dejected, almost shell-shocked. And Frankie Louisville did say that this isn't us. We know what we are. And I'm, I just literally wanted to tell him, stop saying that, because you are who you are. And this is you. You're a 9-game in a row losing team. That's what you are.
I'm glad you said that, because I was about to say, how many times do we have to hear that from someone on this team? And at a certain point, it just becomes like we're not listening. Like, your actions show a different thing than what you're saying. And they struggled. Jaden goes down again with an injury. We were talking with an ortho Virginia doctor earlier today about the injuries and could his previous elbow injury have played a part in this. Ortho Virginia doctor said maybe a little bit, but it more so is probably just darn bad luck, and it just looks bad. But Jaden Daniels, now that's going to be at the center of every talk show around Jaden Daniels and that elbow too.
Yeah, I mean, and I tweeted out during the game as soon as it happened, is it time to officially shut him down? And although I'm a big proponent of him playing, because I still am.
Yeah, because you've been one of the ones that's saying if he's good to play, should play him.
If he's good to play, you got to play. It's football. It's just the nature of the game. And franchise quarterbacks, this is what they do. Their lure is that they play injured and they play and find ways to make plays. The bigger issue is, are they calling the game to protect this guy? Because it doesn't look like they are. We knew coming into Minnesota that Brian Flores does what? He blitz like every play. He blitzed at halftime. He blitzed pregame. He blitzed postgame. He blitzed me when I was doing my postgame show. I mean, that's what he does. He comes at all the time. He comes at you. If they knew that, if I knew that, if you knew that, if the people listening to this show knew that, why is it that Cliff didn't seem to understand that? And it just seems like whenever he gets his favorite toy on the field, it becomes this wide open, air raid offense. Well, you can't do that. It's not conducive for success. And they're not running the football. Think about what happened on that first drive with Washington. They get first and goal from the 4. First play they run, they get to the 1-yard line. Then for whatever reason, inexplicably, they passed the ball on 3 straight downs, didn't get any points out of it either, turned the ball over at the 1, and then obviously the Vikings 19-play, 98-yard drive after that. It just like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
What are we doing? That is one of my favorite sayings, is what are we doing? And you hit on something there that I have found very interesting with these coordinators this year. And I know Joe Witt Jr. now has been relieved of his play calling duties, but so much of it seems, is that they just don't mold themselves to the personnel that they have out there all of the time. Cliff, it seems, is banging his head against the wall, and they're failing the same way that it seems like they fail each and every week. The defense was that way for quite some time. How do you think they fix that moving into next season?
It's a pride issue. I mean, not to date myself here, but if you're listening right now and you know where I'm getting ready to go with this, you too will say, you saw it work. And what I'm saying is, Joe Gibbs, when he first got to Washington.
1.0.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying when Joe first got to Washington, he came from Dan Coryell's offense in San Diego. It was Air Coryell. All they did was pass that thing around with Dan Fouts and John Jefferson and all those guys. Man, I'm dating myself. But when Joe Gibbs got to Washington, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to pass the football with Joe Theismann and the guys that he had at the time. And they had this bruiser behind him that was a fullback, John Riggins, number 44. And Joe Gibbs' offense had sputtered when it first started, and they started off 0-4, got to 2-6 or something like that. And he decided, you know what, this isn't working. We are having some success with the running game. Let's just run the football. A couple Super Bowls later, I mean, you see what happened. So my point is that Joe Gibbs figured out his way wasn't working. Let me try something else. And I think Cliff has to do that right now because in pockets, it works. And I'm not saying nix your whole ideology of your offense, but I'm saying why not put your kid under center? And why not put Jaden under center every now and then? Why not run the football conservatively over 25 times? Between Bill Krosky-Merritt and Chris Rodriguez, collectively, they had 17 touches for 84 yards. If I told you that that's what they had on the game, you probably would have thought they would be in the game. But it's the way he's running the football. It's just not smart.
It feels like at times that there's so many toys. Cliff almost wants to try and figure out that he's like, well, I don't need to run it right now. I've got all of these other guys I can try and get the football. And it's like, well, sometimes you just got to turn around and you hand it off to your bell cow back, or in this case, your two bell cow backs, or whatever it is, and just let them go to work. And then from there, you can build off of it. And not to bring up the Seattle Seahawks, but it's something that they're one of the worst running teams in the NFL, but they run at one of the highest rates because they're then able to build off of it and then get it to their stars like JSN. Cooper Kupp had a touchdown this last game, but like to see something like that from Cliff where you build from the rushing attack.
And also, and credit to Seattle because what they're doing also is they're running the football enough that their defense can get a rest. And when they come on the field, their defense is just smothering people. Well, that's what I'm saying. In a game like Washington had against Minnesota, in a game like they had against Seattle, in a game like they had against Detroit, if you see that your defense is incapable of stopping another team, why are you trying to make this a fast football game? Like, the game was fairly quick because, the Vikings were running the football too. People forgot about Aaron Jones, So that's what I'm saying. It's like, are they trying to do complimentary football or what? Because my thing is, if I know my offense is sputtering, I'm going to try to do something different. You can't get into a shootout in these games. I mean, my God, they made J.J. McCarthy look like Tom Brady.
We all have hope now that J.J. McCarthy's a good quarterback.
I mean, do we?
No, we don't. I personally don't. 2 weeks ago, though, people were like, he might be the biggest bust we've ever seen at the quarterback position since Jamarcus Russell. Now he goes out there. Maybe it was, 3D thinking, galaxy brain type thought from Kevin O'Connell to put Max Brosmer in against the Seahawks, have Brosmer have one of the worst performances we've ever seen. And now JJ's in, and he scores 31 points against the Commanders.
I tell you what, this will put things in perspective. I kid you not. In my hotel, literally, well, not my hotel, it was one of my colleagues' hotels because we all left our bags at their hotel. When we got back to go get our luggage to go to the airport after the game, the gentleman who was there when we left our bags there was still there. And he was like, wow, you guys came a long ways for this. And I literally said, this was terrible. I said, my God, they made, J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota look great. And he said, no. He said, we knew who they played.
Yikes.
That's ugly. That's a slap in the face to Washington's defense. He said that they knew who who Minnesota played, and so they're still not sold on J.J. McCarthy. They just knew that Washington's defense was tragic.
Yeah, but J.J. McCarthy looked fine.
He looked the part. He did.
But did. Man, that whole scenario in Minnesota is going to be fascinating to see how it plays out now in this offseason. With J.J., is he your answer? Are you how much leash do you give him? Because it's a roster overall, and I know everyone wants to hear about my fantasy football team, but as a Justin Jefferson fantasy football owner, he has done horrible damage to Justin Jefferson fantasy stock as well.
Yeah, I still believe in Kevin O'Connell. He was when he was in Washington, he was the guy that I was hoping that Ron Rivera would make his offensive coordinator, and they didn't even interview him. Kevin told me that. So, the rest is history. But he's a really good quarterback coach. I mean, he's a guy he's a quarterback whisperer.
Look at Sam Darnold. Look at Daniel Jones was in the building last year. An unfortunate end of the season there, but
everything he's touched has normally fared well. And I think JJ is a good quarterback. I think when I say good, I think he's a professional quarterback that has a lot of building blocks that you can work with. He just needs confidence, and
maybe that was the game.
Maybe what he got, last week was he got that confidence that he needs. We'll find out this weekend, of course.
Yeah, it'd be a good test for him. But for Washington, now looking at the end of their season, they've got Philly twice on their schedule.
Yeah.
Is there a spot? Is it week 18, the final week of the season? Is that when they break this losing streak? How do you see this season kind of ending out for Washington?
I hate to say this because when I leave here today, I'm driving up for practice. It's tough to see these guys when you know them personally and you know that they're working hard. They really are. They're not up there drinking tea and all that stuff. I mean, they're out there working. And I think they feel like the results obviously will be better, should be better, but they haven't been better. And until I can see them win a game, I don't foresee them winning another game this year. I just don't, because they haven't shown me or anyone else that they can do that. I mean, 9 in a row is 9 in a row, no matter how you cut it.
Yeah, that's not good.
Right.
That ain't good. That's pretty bad.
And if you told me after that Bears game that Washington would have the same type of run that Chicago had last year when Washington hung that Hail Mary on them, I would tell you were nuts. This is exactly the same scenario playing itself out. Just the two teams swapped.
They've swapped.
Exactly.
Because now the Bears, now they're the 7th seed in the NFC, but up until this weekend, they were the number 1 team.
Yeah.
I mean, just an insane swap with how
one loss drops you 7 spots. But that's how it was last year, if you think about it, between Detroit and Minnesota. Yeah. They played for the final game of the season was for the number one seed in the NFC.
Yeah.
And the loser ended up getting the 5th seed. Had to go on the road, and Vikings lost on the road. So, yeah.
it is an insane swing. But even like comparing the Bears this year to the Commanders last year, just a wild swing of events. And now looking at it, I know we've got about a month left of the season, but going into this offseason, I know from here on out, it's probably going to be kind of almost dress rehearsals for some of the younger guys.
Should be. As
they try to figure out who's here, who's not. Luvu, does he come back? Wagner, all of these. I know Luvu's not an older guy, but he's kind of been lumped into that older guy thing.
Yeah.
How do you see them using their younger linebackers, their younger guys in general, as a dress rehearsal over these next couple of weeks?
Well, I hope that, Ali Cajo and those guys, I hope they can get on the field. Kane Madrano, they're still baffled as to why he's not been on the field, because these guys are athletic and they're fast. Maybe they don't understand playbooks yet. And I understand that some of the younger guys that has derailed their progress on the field. I know a guy like Tyler Owens had a tough time with the playbook. I know Ben Sennett had a tough time with the playbook on the offensive side of the ball. Well, I'm from the school of my coach should get me prepared to know something about the playbook. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. I mean, you don't walk into a chemistry class in college knowing you're going to ace that class. Well, some smarties do, but a guy like myself, no. I was just like,
that's why I didn't take chemistry in college.
I had to, yeah. But I was like, hey, can you get through this? So the point being, though, if at the end of the semester you're failing because you don't understand any of the concepts, that's not good. And I think that's what's going on here. Some of these young guys, maybe too much is being thrown at them, but you can't tell me that you can't craft 6-7 plays for these guys to show their talent on the field. They're going to have to craft more than 6-7 plays down the stretch for these guys, because you have to be in full-blown evaluation mode. I mean, you may have stolen some guys. Maybe you got lucky with, a Traylon Burks. Guess what? Traylon Burks, I don't think he got a rep on Sunday.
After him being the talk of the town with that catch the week before.
Inexcusable.
It does feel like a coaching issue where it's, they may not know the whole playbook, but let's get them really good at these 4 concepts, and we may rotate them in for 10 plays a game, 25% of our snaps, whatever it might be. And if the ball comes their way, it comes their way. If it doesn't come their way, it doesn't come their way. But they get those game reps, and just so often we see these guys on. And I just think of a lot of the defenders where every week we're talking about these guys, and it's just like, where are they? Yeah. Why haven't we seen them? And when they do come on, they flash because they're playing downhill.
Absolutely. A guy like Jordan McGee, he's shown you at times Yeah, he's going to get beat at times. He's young. That's just what happens. It's football.
It's football.
But you also see this guy just flying through everything and hitting people extremely hard. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
So you find ways to get him on the field more, even if he's struggling to retain certain plays. And we've seen him out of position at times. That's just normal.
We've also seen everyone else out of position
I've seen some
at times.
veterans out of position at times. I've seen some coaches not put guys in the right position a lot of times. So, you can't just keep using that excuse that they're young and they don't understand things. I understand that sometimes you start to notice maybe coaches feel like they're coaching for their jobs, so they're going to go with the main guys. If that's the case, that's not good, because that's a sign of something's not working here.
Yeah. We're going to get a break in here. Step aside. We'll be back. Chat a little NFC East because, look, the downfall of the Eagles, it brings me no joy to report on. But me and Lake, we'll talk about that on the other side right here on Fitz the Bill. Lake Lewis Jr., a Raisin Hill Commanders insider, CBS 6's Commanders insider as well. Spent some time talking Commanders. I want to turn the attention over to the NFC East because me and you have differing opinions on how the season's going to end here in the NFC East. Mm-hmm. I have been adamant. Listeners may not be the most fond of me for it, but I am anti-Eagles. I'm on my anti-Eagles train, and it is just it's giving me too much confidence now, the fact that they have lost 3 in a row, right? And you look at the schedule remaining, and for Philly, they've got home games against the Raiders and the Commanders, road games against the Commanders and the Bills. I look at the Dallas Cowboys, right? And you're right. We were talking about it off air. Dallas's offense is electric. Their defense leaves a lot to be desired, even after their trade deadline moves. But if Dallas wins out, which is a big if, and the Eagles go 2-2 down the stretch, just like that, the Cowboys win the NFC East. Saying it out loud doesn't sound so crazy.
It doesn't.
Until you say that they have to beat the Commanders have to win one of those games against the Eagles.
So let me throw this scenario at you.
Hit me. Please hit me.
Why not Washington beating Dallas on Christmas Day?
Then that throws everything out the window in Dallas.
Exactly,
and Dallas ain't winning anything.
So you did. I mean, let's be honest. We said it. Washington winning any of their final games looks bleak.
Yeah.
To say the least. To beat Philly twice.
They've only got to beat them once.
Only have to beat them once.
But which is still a huge ask. Because if anything, we have seen with the Commanders that performance against the Vikings.
Well, let's just put it this way. That huge ask would have to be next weekend.
Yes.
Because they're not beating Philly in Philly.
In Philly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so.
Do you think Washington will have it put together in 2 weeks in net?
Do you know what you're doing here right now?
Stirring the pot?
No, not just that. You're asking Washington's bitter rival. You're asking if you're a Cowboys fan, you're asking for your bitter rivalry to do you some justice to help your cause.
Yep.
And vice versa. Even if you're an Eagles fan. That's ugly.
The Commanders are at the center of it, where the Eagles are going to be rooting for the Commanders on Christmas Day, which is just going to feel disgusting for Eagles fans. And then Cowboys fans are going to be rooting for the Commanders 2 more times this season. And not just lightly rooting, but the Cowboys fans need to aggressively root for the Commanders to win at least one of the remaining 2 games.
What do you think Washington fans want more? To help Philly win the division or help Dallas win the division?
Look, I know my fair share of Commanders fans. Yeah. If I could get into their heads, I think they would want 3 ties.
Okay. See, there we go. Now we're talking, because it's just hard for me to think that any of those scenarios are favorable for Washington fans. Because you know what Washington fans want right now? To be blunt, they want Washington to end up getting one of the top 2 picks in the draft.
I was going to say, if anything, I might actually say the Commanders may just want to lose out, and they don't care who they're helping or hurting because they just want a good draft pick.
And I think most fans are starting to go that route now. That's not, I don't say loser talk like tank. No, we're not talking about that. I think most fans, if you gave most Commanders fans a truth serum, they're going to tell you they want their team to play well. Just like the Denver game, and lose in overtime. Just like Miami and Madrid, and lose in overtime. Play well, but secure your spot for that draft pick.
Yeah, I mean that feels like what they're kind of playing for.
I'm kind of starting to feel that way myself.
Well, look, that makes draft season a lot more fun because you're over here talking about like, oh, they could get this high-profile draft pick. Because as much fun as it is to go with 12 wins, 13 wins, and then at the end of the year, though, in the draft, you're like, well, this 30th overall draft prospect, I guess, is fun, and it's not as fun. It makes draft season a lot more fun.
Well, I think also if you have the top pick in the draft or the second pick in the draft and you're Washington, you'll really see how crafty Adam Peters can be, because if I'm Adam Peters, I'm trading that pick.
So that leads into a good question on what your philosophy is with draft picks, because I'm in the camp of if I got a top 10 draft pick, I'm trading back and I'm accumulating as many draft picks as humanly possible. What's your philosophy on draft picks?
My philosophy has been that over the years. However, if it's one or two, you might need to keep it because at one or two, you're supposed to get a dog. You're supposed to get a Jaden Daniels, who was the rookie of the year the following year. So, but if you're Washington and you also don't have a second-round draft pick and you see that there's some holes on this roster, I think you really have to take a hard look at trading back. If you can trade back, and I don't mean trade back to, I know I had a friend tell me, man, if I could trade back and I'm guaranteed to have the 32nd pick in the first round and the 33rd pick 32nd pick in the first round, 33rd pick in the second round, I'm doing it. I don't know about that. I think if you're Washington and you can trade back maybe into the mid portion of the first round, but you get that team you're trading back with, you're getting their second round pick. I don't care where that pick is in the second round. I'm doing that for sure.
You call up the Falcons. They just made one of the worst trades in NFL history last draft when they gave up their future first and a second to move up and their first that year to move up, 15 picks to get James Pierce Jr., who has been a fine player, but maybe you call up the Falcons and you go, hey, guys, you have any...
dumb enough last year. You're dumb enough again this year.
How about you give us next year's first, a second, and a third this year, and you got a deal. Maybe that's who you call up.
So this is the scenario that I think fans are going to have to remember this year specifically. The NFL now is so parity-driven. It's not... It doesn't appear to be as bleak as it seems right now for Washington to rebound for next year. Are they this bad, or are they the team that with healthy bodies was the team from last year? I think they're probably right in the middle. Okay. So if you can get yourself a great player, in this year's draft to add to your team, maybe you push yourself closer to that first year, maybe not record wise, but maybe you could be a 10-win team next year, an 11-win team next year if you get your healthy bodies and you draft properly. I think that's fair I think that's a reasonable sentiment because look at what Seattle's done overnight. Look at what some of these other upstart teams are doing. Look at what Carolina's doing right now. They more than likely could win the NFC South.
Yeah. I mean, they brought in T-Mac, Tedero McMillan, and they needed a wide receiver. They get a dog at wide receiver, and now it's made everyone else, especially with the wide receiver position, it feels like when you're playing out of place. Like Xavier Legette is not a wide receiver one, but he's a good wide receiver two. Jalen Coker isn't a wide receiver two, but he's a great slot guy. You put him there, and everything seems to all of a sudden that offense looks
now your running game
good.
is running well
because of a good free agent side. Like this offseason is going to be important for Washington. No, right? But the way Seattle was able to do it, they hit on Nick Eamon-Wari, a dog at the safety spot.
They hit on everything.
Yeah. DeMarcus Lawrence, everyone thought he was washed. Yeah. He's having a career resurgence in Seattle. For Carolina, they hit on their wide receiver. They hit on Rico Dowdle at the running back position. You've got to nail a draft pick or two immediately and then get a good free agent signing or two that may have been for some reason or another written off by their past team that can make an immediate impact like we've seen Rico Dowdle do, who's now one of the best running backs.
And see, and Jack, this is the thing. I think for Adam Peters, for all the vitriol that's coming his way now, and some of it's...
Which I think is unwarranted.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at his track record for the last 2 years with his first-round draft picks, they've hit. I mean, Connerly is a stud, and Jaden was the rookie of the year. We know about the struggles this year. So he has a track record of getting his first pick right. So there's no reason for me to believe that they won't get that right this year, even if they trade back into the first round. I still think he's going to get a really good football player that's going to help this team. But the question is, what is the most glaring hole on this football team? Because there's several. To me, it's a lack of a pass rusher. They just don't have it. And even when they had, healthy bodies, they were adequate, but they weren't special. I think in today's game, with the way the game has changed, and it's a quarterback-driven league, obviously, but these young quarterbacks are coming in straight out of college and playing right away. You need somebody that's going to rattle their cages a little bit early and often in the game to make them look like what they are, rookies. So I think for Washington, is it Bain? Is it, Arvo Reese from Ohio State, who's I think really good as well. I mean, you've got some options on defense coming in out of this year's draft. They have to walk away with one of those guys. There's no masking this thing with duct tape anymore.
Yeah, you hit on an edge rusher. Maybe there's one that comes available as well, but maybe not like a Von Miller, because we've seen that didn't work out.
Von's actually hasn't played poorly. He had a sack Sunday.
Yeah,
he's played well. It's just
you just need a guy like. You're not.
They didn't bring him in to be the guy.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
They were hoping that he would be like
just an extra piece.
We'll get him 15 snaps, 10 snaps a game, and
they're
will be
all pinning your ears
third
back.
down and long. Go get him, Vaughn.
Yep.
And a trade one is not going to be available. Like this offseason, we saw Micah get traded. Now, granted, Micah was never going to come to Washington, but Trey Hendrickson was on the block. Myles Garrett, for a brief moment, was on the block. That's not going to happen this offseason. So you're really only option.
Trey Hendrickson still is on the block because
the Bengals, I don't think they're going to do anything. But I think they're going to figure out a way to sign. I don't know.
But the Bengals are a team that's going to miss the playoffs this year.
Yeah, but he's also a year older now.
And they may have a different coach next year. So sometimes
you think he's on the hot seat?
Oh, without question, Zach Taylor's on the hot seat. I mean, not on the hot seat. He might need some new underwear.
His pants are on fire type of stuff.
Yeah, seriously.
Really?
Those buns are hot. Seriously.
I thought he would have gotten we'll see how it plays out. I thought that they would give him at least another year because of the Joe Burrow injury, but it feels like now, good point, where every year it's like, well, he had this extenuating circumstance.
I was just about to say, like, you give him another year for what? To say we're going to give you another year. That they've done this every year. He's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think he's a head coach in this league for sure. But sometimes you can just tell something's kind of run its course.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that the AFC, the AFC North.
Yeah.
It could be a total coaching carousel in the AFC North.
All of those coaches are on the hot seat.
Every last one of them could end up not with their teams. And I know you're saying, oh, Mike Tomlin and Harbaugh in Baltimore. I mean, they're the model franchises. They don't fire coaches. It might not be a firing. It just may be a mutual parting of the ways.
Look at how Seattle, and I keep bringing back to Seattle, and I apologize, but how they got rid of Pete Carroll, who was there for 15-plus years.
It was time.
He wasn't fired, but it was a structural reorganization that saw him move to a front office role that really was. And then as the reporters reported, it was like, oh, well, this really isn't a role.
It was a way to get him out of there.
He's being forced out, and he agreed for it to not get fired. With Tomlin, I think the time has come for him. I think Harbaugh, the time has come for him as well. Stefanski, I think it is blowing up in his face with the success Shador has had, specifically this last week.
You can see that that wasn't his choice.
It wasn't his choice, and he's reluctant to give him the full reins over the next 4 weeks. You've already seen Dylan Gabriel. We don't need to see him again.
Well, they named him the starter for the rest of the year, but I'm wondering if that came down
from Haslam.
From Haslam. I know it did.
Like that the Shador stuff hurting Stefanski in a big way right now. And then with Dak Taylor. That's ever since that Super Bowl year, it's been slow starts after slow starts after squeaking into the playoffs and not having that same postseason success.
Just look at the game against Buffalo this weekend. That you clearly can see how great Joe Burrow is.
Yeah, he's so good.
I mean, he's awesome. As soon as he comes back, they're just a whole different team. But some of the decisions that were made in that game down the stretch, like Buffalo was dead in the water.
Yeah.
Those are coaching decisions. Those aren't Joe Burrow decisions. Those are coaching decisions. Yeah. So to me, who's your coach? The guy that's on the hot seat. the question you have to ask, though, as far as Zach Taylor in Cincinnati is who would you get in that's better?
Mike Tomlin.
I was going to say it has to be from probably one of those other coaches within the division.
Yeah.
I could see Stefanski in
Harbaugh.
Cincinnati. I could see Harbaugh in Cincinnati. Yeah.
That's the thing with all those coaches, too. I think they are all good, not as much Zach Taylor, but I think Stefanski's a good coach, weird decision-making, but like he has made delicious lemonade with unripe lemons, it seems like, in Cleveland. Tomlin, we all know Tomlin, and Harbaugh has been fantastic as well, but they've all just run their course in their respective teams.
So let me throw a wild card out there for
Marcus
you.
Freeman.
Oh, my God. Marcus Freeman in Baltimore would look very good. Marcus Freeman in Pittsburgh would look very good. Not saying get rid of the coaches they have, because those are Hall of Fame coaches. But sometimes you got to change it up, and you still keep your type of brand. Marcus Freeman will come in right out of Notre Dame and still be a bruiser. That's his style. It would fit Pittsburgh and Baltimore to a T. But no, I'm going to throw another name out there. What if Buffalo, and I'm going to throw it out there, McDermott, to me, could be a sacrificial lamb. And I say that because Josh Allen's going to go into the playoffs this year not having to play any of his three nemesis because they're not making the playoffs.
Such a wide open AFC for. I had this thought yesterday.
Yeah.
If the Bills don't win the Super Bowl, I think that is going to hurt more than the 4 falls of Buffalo in the 90s.
Listen, man, Josh Allen's going to come into the playoffs playing guys wet behind the ears. As Martin used to say, breath still smelling like Similac because they're just babies, If he can't do it this time, and it's not because of him, because he's outdueled everyone he's played in the playoffs, even in the past. It's just been the luck of the draw who you got. Well, there won't be any Lamar. There won't be any Patrick. There won't be any Joe Burrow. So
the best quarterback you're facing is Drake May?
Come on, man.
Bo Nix?
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like,
come on,
if you're Josh Allen at this point, too, like, I know Sean McDermott.
Trevor Lawrence? I mean,
come
on, man. Seriously.
If I'm Sean McDermott, I'm worried because you might just be the sacrificial lamb. But also, I think there would be a lot of questions being thrown at Josh Allen as well. Even if he throws for 354 touchdowns and they lose, I think as the face of the franchise, as the only QB, I think the attention starts to turn to you. Why couldn't you get it done? Why? And then McDermott, the same exact things. McDermott's been on the hot seat on and off for the last 3 years.
I could see Brian Dable back in Buffalo as coach.
Who? I don't know.
I'm just saying. I know he and Josh Allen have a good relationship,
and he was one who rebuilt Josh.
He sure did. And I don't know if it's me, but I think Dable got, believe it or not, a raw deal in New York. I mean, they still were playing for the guy. Maybe some coaches' decisions down the stretch cost him some games. Yeah, I get it.
And maybe him walking into the blue tent trying to get Jackson Dart out of a concussion.
I mean, he cared about the kid. He cared about him enough because he knew his job was on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a problem with that.
But Dable made the playoffs with Daniel Jones and then didn't do it the next year. And then what was this year? This was year 4 of Dable. So then 2 bad years marred with Daniel Jones. Man.
The Giants have been a train wreck.
Yeah, 100%.
Their management, everything has just been poor.
Yes,
and to make him the fall guy, and you kept showing. I mean, wow,
you've got to fire that GM yesterday,
man. That was shocking. I'm like, wait a minute, you fired him, but you didn't fire the guy that he was joined at the hip with.
I think
he's not making the decisions.
If Tomlin gets let go from the Steelers and the Giants are okay with it, give him full control, let him bring in his guys.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say he's not going to New York if that GM is there. But if
Tomlin
he
needs
has
full control.
If he doesn't get full control, he's got to find his GM.
That's what I mean. You hire him and he hires a GM.
Yeah.
Because
is that a fit in New York though?
I think it'd be fun.
Believe
I think the media would be fun.
Everyone in this business would be making.
I think
big money.
I think he would be a very great stabilizer for that. I almost said program like this is college, but essentially for that franchise, I think he'd go in and he'd be able to be a stabilizer for it. Now, Here's the question.
Harbaugh's the fit in New York.
Harbaugh could also fit.
I think he's perfect fit.
The issue I had, not issue, but with Tomlin, he's been at the forefront. Omar Khan, the GM of the Steelers, is more of a just a talking head almost, because Tomlin's been at the forefront of a lot of these personnel changes, and he has shown that he may be getting lapped a little bit, kind of like Bill Belichick at the end of his Patriots tenure. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers was necessarily the right move. I don't know if bringing in Jonnu Smith was necessarily the right move. I don't know if a lot of these moves, DK Metcalf over George Pickens, a lot of that falls on the shoulders of Mike Tomlin. So if he does have to go into a Giants roster and there is a full rebuild, I don't know how much I trust him to be the personnel guy deciding how to rebuild that roster. That is my one holdup with Tomlin.
I tried to think of other teams that are out there where he could be a fit. I mean, he could be a fit anywhere, to be honest with you. I mean, I could see him in Cincinnati.
If he gets the buy-in from the front office, then he can be a fit anywhere.
I could see him in Cincinnati easily, But you have to ask, like, great coach. I mean, he's got a Super Bowl. Any coach that wins a Super Bowl to me is a great coach, because you've done something that a lot of coaches would give a hand up for. Okay? I'm going to throw something at you here.
I'm ready.
You know who Mike Tomlin's really close with, who he went to school with?
Sean McDermott?
And Sean McDermott and someone else.
They were William and Mary guys. Who's the third?
Dan Quinn.
Really?
Yes.
How did I not know
Mike Tomlin might get that call. You can be the D coordinator here if you're not getting a head coaching gig.
Yeah.
Which I think teams will come for the head coaching gig.
Or even
first.
if you want to take a year off and re-look at the landscape.
You can be the D coordinator here.
Yeah.
And they have a great relationship, very close. I'm just, throwing some things out there, and I don't throw stuff out to see if it sticks on the wall. Sorry. These are just common sense things. I could see that for sure.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. I think everyone would run for that.
That would be
yes.
That'd be fun. It'd be a good opportunity for Tomlin to show, hey, I still got my defensive side of the ball, because we forget he started as the Vikings DC.
That's it. He was ironically, he was the Vikings D-backs coach before he moved into that role. So he comes from Tony Dungy's tree too.
Yeah.
So those guys know defense. I mean, that's been Pittsburgh's calling card, for the longest time. Even when Big Ben was there, they had Harrison and those guys coming at you on defense.
Yeah.
So
that'd be fun. All right, let's get a quick break in. We'll be back with more here on Fitz the Bill on this Wednesday morning. Fitz the Bill here on this Wednesday morning. Lake Lewis Jr., our Raisin Hill Commanders insider, also our embedded Penn State fan, our Penn State alum.
Yeah.
I was getting there. there.
Come on.
Okay. All right. James Franklin, he's gone. He's at Virginia Tech. We'll talk about that in a second. What do you feel on Matt Campbell?
I love it. And, he was one of the guys I wanted them to go after from the very beginning. And I was getting upset with Pat Kraft. I really was.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, there's the guy out there that you can still get that everyone thought from the very beginning was the perfect fit, because he's at a smaller, big program. Okay. He's done more with less. And he's a Pennsylvania guy, for God's sakes. I mean, he's born in Ohio, but his family lived in Pennsylvania. He grew up a lot with his grandparents in Pennsylvania. So my thing is, it's a perfect fit, man. This is a step up for him. The other coaches you were going after, maybe Katani would have been a step up as well, but he's not a East Coast guy.
That was a wild,
what are you
12 hours
doing, man? Like, guy's a phenomenal coach at BYU, but he's also a guy that's very similar to James Franklin, success. Can't get over the hump. And people were saying, well, Matt Campbell and James Franklin, there's a 1-game difference between them, and as far as their win-loss record against top 25 teams. And I'm like, but see, this is the difference. Penn State was playing top 5 teams consistently every year because they were in their freaking conference.
Yeah.
And they couldn't beat them. Matt Campbell has been in the Big 12 championship game multiple times.
With Iowa State.
Exactly. Let's not make those comparisons.
What was the last successful Iowa State season pre-Matt Campbell? Was it the Seneca Wallace era of Iowa State back in the 90s?
And that wasn't anything like to write home about. I mean, and that's the whole point. You got to go back to Seneca Wallace to even think of pro players coming out of there. And if you look at Matt Campbell and you have, Brock Purdy, you have Breece Hall, you have the 2 receivers from last year. I mean, he's put out some guys, Alan Lazard. I mean, he's put out some guys, and they all have been like just touting this move by Penn State. All of those guys are like, Penn State got one. We got lucky because this fell into our lap.
It was such a weird process because I was like you. When it happened, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Why didn't – wait. Mm-hmm. It's been this long and it took him this long to get even interview Matt Campbell? Mm-hmm. Like, was Pat Kraft getting some kickbacks from all of these coaches he got these huge bonuses for?
There's another level to happen here, and I think it starts with James Franklin. James Franklin, agent, Jimmy Sexton is the guy.
The power broker of college football coaches.
And he has – most of those coaches that Penn State was targeting, Jimmy Sexton just made some money because he basically used that and finagled that into his clients getting paid by their respective schools.
Plus, he got paid. Plus, he got paid off the James Franklin buyout that he got a little money from.
So he made a lot of money over the last 2 months for sure.
Yes.
But I think, overall, when you look at Matt Campbell, I just think his personality embodies what we are. Man, that sounded good. We are.
Penn State.
Yeah, it embodies what we are. I mean, it's blue collar. Although I did want a more modern offense, they had this gimmicky offense. Hopefully they changed that. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm like watching the videos and stuff like that. Man, it's. Yeah, and now, I feel the blue blood coming up.
And now we got Penn State South developing in Blacksburg, Virginia, with Franklin being hired. Of course, Brent Pry, you know him well. Virginia Tech decides to hire the coach that they are still. I wonder how that works now with his buyout. Him being fired by the university and now being rehired by the university.
Just are they just going to roll his bank account?
Yeah,
that was it.
They already got his direct deposit information.
Exactly. I don't like that at all.
I don't like it either.
I don't. And I mean, not to obviously take someone's livelihood from him, and he and James Franklin are really close. I think Pry's father was like a coordinator for James Franklin years ago.
Yeah, on like East Stroudsburg or something.
So loyalty, again, I get it. Loyalty will get you fired sometimes, man.
May have gotten him fired up in Penn State.
If it's not, if it's not your wife, if it's not your kids, you got to keep that loyalty thing a little close, but it doesn't have to overwhelm you. And for me, the guy was just fired as the head coach. I don't think it's a conflict of interest because he and James Franklin are so close.
Yeah.
And he's proven that he's been an adequate defensive coordinator, just not a head coach. And maybe Franklin feels that way. But, man,
it just feels weird.
Start anew. You got to start anew.
It feels weird.
It feels, I don't know, man. It's like nepotism or something. It just feels a little too comfortable for me. Yeah.
Break out. He had a great signing class, great recruiting class, all of that, great, and getting some good transfers. This is the one time where I was like, James, maybe you go outside of your bubble and you try something new, because Brent did literally. And again, I'm not trying to besmirch his name too much, but Brent Pry did literally just fail. And a large part of that was the defense got shredded against Vandy, against Old Dominion, against South Carolina. Like, the defense wasn't holding up its end of the bargain.
What does this tell you, though? Because if you think about the fact that James Franklin poached, Ohio State's defensive coordinator from them last year. Really didn't poach him. Ohio State was goofing around with them. So Penn State brings in Ohio State's defensive coordinator, who's a Pennsylvania guy, by the way. He's not going to be the defensive coordinator at Penn State now because Matt Campbell's bringing his guy from Iowa State. I'm just looking at resumes.
Someone's slightly stronger than the other.
And you didn't bring him over.
That'll be fascinating to see how it plays out down there.
Better play out well
in Happy Valley South, which is what they're developing down there.
Don't say that. Don't say that because we're one and only. And my thing is, I think, in all due respect, I do think James Franklin hire for Virginia Tech was a coup. I really do.
They're going to win the ACC a couple of times.
They're going to be the team that's consistently winning 9, maybe 10 games in the ACC. But can he beat Marcus Freeman? Will Notre Dame even be in the ACC? But the point is, can he beat Marcus Freeman? Can he beat, some of these other coaches in the ACC? I think Belichick will be better. You
got Tony Elliott right across the mountain.
In Virginia. That was a train wreck of a game. Sorry, Virginia.
Hey, let's go JMU though. Thank you, Duke, for getting JMU into the old college football.
Well, I was going to say one Virginia's treasure or trash is another Virginia's team treasure, and I don't think JMU is going to go into Oregon and get smoked like people keep thinking they are. They're going to lose by 30, 40 points. I don't know if you've seen JMU, but
they got some dogs.
Well, they're used to winning.
Yeah. And
bottom line.
They're used to winning. And, you look at the guys they got along the offensive, defensive line. They've got this kid, Sahir West. He's a redshirt freshman. He's going to – and JMU fans are going to jump down my throat for saying this. They always get mad at me when I say this. He is a all Big Ten caliber player.
Well, I was just about to say, I hate to say this, but JMU's some of those players are gonna know what it's like to play on West Coast time because they're gonna be playing on West Coast time next year.
UCLA, something
that's a fact.
Exactly, and they've got Wayne Knight. They're just was named the Richmond Touchdown Club Running Back of the Year. He was one of the best Sunbelt running backs. He's going to be a UCLA star. He's going to be all Big Ten next year.
I hope I don't have JMU fans calling here for you to be had. But this is the thing: if you don't think that some of those guys are going to UCLA, all you got to do is look at Indiana.
Exactly.
That made their point even more.
Yeah, the number one team in the Big Ten is their
number one team in the country.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys are former JMU guys, and their coach obviously JMU guy. If you don't think some of these guys are following their coach to UCLA, you're mistaken.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be as much or as many going across the country.
LA?
I think there's a couple. I'm hearing rumblings through the grapevine, things of that sort. The NIL war chest for JMU will be enhanced more than what it was when Signetti went to Indiana.
Okay, so let me pose this at you.
Hit me.
Harrisonburg. No offense. I'm just saying. You're a young kid, and you can get $2 million in NIL money.
Yeah, or
in Harrisonburg, or $2 million in LA.
I'll tell that kid $2 million goes a lot further in Harrisonburg.
Oh, yeah, 100% does. Harrisonburg's a beautiful city. Don't get me wrong.
No, but you're right.
But LA.
LA. I do wonder. There is a part of me, and this might be my purple color glasses watching it, where how much maybe a kid's from Charlottesville, they're recruited from Richmond, they've always played in front of their parents, things of that sort. Does that play a part of
NIL money? You have enough money to fly to come see me play.
You have enough money to get a second apartment.
We're not just talking about, no offense to USC, because USC's in a different part of town. Palo Alto, Pasadena, it's a little Westwood. It's a little different there. It's beautiful. Yeah, trust me.
I might have to make it out for a game just to sport my
Trust me, I know. I was there this year when we played. I say we when we
Chargers.
Had the Chargers, but I did go to the UCLA game. Oh boy,
we won't rehash that one.
I know.
That was
oh my god. That's when I came in here. Get him out of there. Get him out of there.
Yeah, that was the was that loss number 2 of 3, or was that after Northwestern?
That was the second loss. That was right after Oregon.
Yes,
and then
it was
followed it up with Northwestern at home.
What's crazy about that this season for Penn State is, I think if they don't move on from James Franklin after the 3-game winning streak, they probably figure things out. Maybe they lose one more to Indiana or something. But there is a shot that a 3-loss team, if they had beaten Indiana and stabilized, maybe they're in the college football playoff.
Shot.
But
there's no way.
They lost the alums. He lost the alums.
He lost everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why he's gone.
And that's why he's in Virginia Tech.
And that's why we're hoping Matt Campbell gets us back to glory.
If he can do it for Iowa State, Penn State should be easy. He just has a lot of work to do after they lost their entire recruiting class.
Well, he's got to bring at least 15 guys over from Iowa State. And I mean players and some of their recruiting class. Yeah. I mean, that you have to make up for this. So
yeah, that's the only way forward. Lake, appreciate you stopping by. Have a safe travel up 95 to get to the I can't talk, Commanders practice.
At the Big Bear AI Performance Center. That's the name of it.
Thank you. Thank you for dropping the naming rights to a practice facility only in the National Football League. You know, other leagues are like, why does the NFL dominate us in ratings? Why does the NFL dominate us in revenue? Well, I haven't heard many practice facilities being named after AI companies. So
The NFL is a marketing machine, literally.
If you
the streets are marketed. It's Joe Gibbs Drive.
Yeah. Jerry Jones' documentary on Netflix did a great job of explaining how he was at the forefront of, like, if I can put a sticker on it, I want to sell it.
Oh, yeah.
And now the NFL is like, we can do that with everything.
Oh, yeah. This AT&T parking lot 1, you know, Bell Atlantic. I don't know. There's no more Bell Atlantic, but it could be Bell Atlantic parking spot 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always something.
It's also so Big Bear AI practice facility should be a fun time. Hopefully it's warm up there.
Yeah.
Lake, appreciate you for stopping by.